And welcome to the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel powered by InsideTexas.com. This is the Recruiting Intel. With me, as always, is my recruiting co-partner, my co-pilot, my man, Charlie Williams. Here, Coach Dub in the live. I'm Justin Wells at Inside Texas. Joe Cook is usually with us to talk a little bit about recruiting intel, but he's on the scene right now. He's actually hanging out in Nashville doing some work behind the scenes for Inside Texas and On3. And so we decided we're going to handle it today, which we're the ones that go out and get the info anyway. So we're just going to come straight from the horse's mouth. Charlie, it's good to see you today, brother.
Yeah, same here, man. You know, it's recruiting never stops. It never sleeps. So got to bring you the news, right?
That's it. Recruiting never does stop. You know, and during the season, we can have times where we're not necessarily – there's not a whole lot going on, especially after the official visit swoon of June and all the people that drop in the summer to get their spots. But, man, when it's the off season, this is when recruiting matters. And this is when coaches are constantly catching up with kids and reaching out. And something that's kind of unique about this year in this cycle, we're talking about junior days. Not junior days. We did junior day last month. We're talking about official visitors in February. But that's how important this class is. Texas is really setting the foundation for what they think could be another top 3, potentially number 1 recruiting class. And so they're going 5 months in advance to get these guys locked in. And what to me I feel like is important that we're going to discuss today is not necessarily the kids that have OVs locked in. It's the ones that haven't got ones locked in yet. And to me, that's almost a data point. That's a sign of what direction maybe the staff might be going. And so it's interesting, but recruiting never sleeps. It never stops. The Super Bowl is now over. So football season is officially over. Yeah, officially over. The basic fan is now thinking, you know what? You know, just saw the Eagles thump Mahomes and the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. I did not see that coming.
Yeah, me either.
But, you know, the coolest thing was we got to see 2 3-star quarterbacks from the state of Texas.
Yeah, you know what? That's always good, right? Represent for the state of Texas, man. I love it. Look, if you want a quarterback, you want to win, you got to come to the state of Texas. I see everybody trying to, you know, come and take our recruits, but that's what happens, man. The best come from the state of Texas. It wasn't just the quarterbacks, though. You look amongst the rosters on either side, a lot of kids from the state of Texas, you know, including a couple of Longhorns there. So,
absolutely.
And, Ojimo got him a ring, so, hey, congrats to him.
Yeah, he did, man. Love Morrow. And we got to know those guys, Morrow, Ojomo, and Charles Amenahu particularly. We got really close to those guys. Xavier Worthy not as much because he was a Cali kid that kind of slipped into the class at the last minute. Remember, he had signed with Michigan. Paperwork got screwed up. That was Sark's, I think, first recruit signee, if I remember correctly. And then the guy goes out and does something no Longhorn's ever done. He scores a touchdown in the Super Bowl. Then he did it twice. Yeah. He also had, I want to say, either the 3rd or 4th most yardage in Super Bowl history. And this is a rookie. This is a guy, I don't think he had a target till the 3rd quarter.
Yeah, so, that was huge.
Yeah, it's fun to see. And, you know, we both saw Patrick Mahomes growing up. We both saw Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts was a grown man at 15 years old. I also was at a camp where Shane Buechele completely outdueled him. It wasn't even close. And so you can kind of see why he went to Alabama and why Texas went another direction with Buechele. But enough of that. Let's talk about these official visitors. Now, we just posted a new list at InsideTexas.com, and we got a couple new names on there. One name I'll tell you. The other name Charlie's going to tell you because I am not going to attempt to pronounce his name. I'm going to let Charlie do that. But first off, let's let it be known. There are 2 linebackers from 2026 that are coming in. One of them is Tank King. He is 6'2", 205-pounder out of Port Arthur Memorial. Brian Morgan does an unbelievable job there for Memorial. He's been there a while. He's always been a helper for Inside Texas. He was at Junior Day. We got to see Tank King and kind of, you know, catch up with him a little bit. I'm actually going to have a story with some quotes for him probably in the morning. But it looks like Texas kind of has their eyes on certain linebackers. Right. And Tank King is one of those. Why don't you tell the audience about the other one, the kid from Georgetown Eastview?
Yeah. So, you left that one up to me to pronounce the name, right? And so that's that's kind of hard, but I'll go with it. I'm going to go Teason Ajawoko. I hope I didn't pronounce it right, but Ejewoku. I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce that, but man, you talk about a talented kid who's steady rising. Kind of good to see him get locked in. It's good to get some guys in, man. That's close to the program in proximity too. I think that's always a good thing. Texas has had a ton of success getting kids to stay close to home, but I think that's how you pronounce his name. But man, it's good to see some guys be able to confirm their official visits. I think that's huge because linebacker class is huge. I know. You took 2 last year essentially in Bo Barnes and Jonathan Cunningham, but man, so you definitely need to add some depth to that room because as Eric has talked about plenty of times, the linebacker room is very talented, it's very good, but you need more bodies.
You need more bodies. You definitely need more bodies. They're going to take 3 or 4 in this class, I feel like. And there was a couple that I think fans kind of attached to, but it looks like I think his first name is pronounced Tyson.
Tyson.
Because if it's Tie, son, we're just going to call him Tyson from Eastview. I was not that familiar with him up until junior day. I knew about him, but I didn't. Texas wasn't kicking tires on him yet, and so I just hadn't put a lot of effort into it yet. Then he commits to Texas Tech pretty early in his recruitment. Then you look at his tape and you see, okay, this is why Texas likes him. He's 6'3", 220. I almost thought he was an edge when we saw him up close and personal at first. But once you watch his tape, he has some inside linebacker intangibles. He has some stuff that he can do there. The offer list is not that impressive. Texas is far and away the best offer. But like you said, they'd like to keep that guy close. And I don't think they care where the kid plays or where he's from. I like that they're looking at this kid. He confirmed with Inside Texas today that he would be taking an official visit June 13th through the 15th. I think that linebacker is important. And I think also Tank King's important. He came in for junior day and he told me earlier, there's another King at Port Arthur Memorial, and that's Brock King, who's one of the top cornerback targets. They are not related in any form or fashion. They're not brothers. They're not cousins. They're not family. They're not. The only thing they're related to is we're all brothers and sisters in Jesus Christ's eyes. That's it. That's the only relation. But, man, Tank and Brock are some dudes, and Tank particularly is a guy. I get some Maurice Blackwell vibes from him. I think he's a guy that's got to get into the program, get a little bit bigger, obviously, get a little bit stronger. But when you go down the Golden Triangle, they're different.
They're different.
Anthony Smith will prove that. They are different. They're a different breed. And so I know you've got to watch Tank King's tape a little bit and Tyson from Eastview. Just give me a quick couple thoughts on what you think about those two linebackers. And then I want to talk about a linebacker that will not be taking an official visit to Texas.
Yeah, so I'll start with Mr. King. I've actually got to watch some 7-on-7 tape of him too and see him playing 7-on-7. You talk about an explosive, athletic linebacker. He's the new age linebacker. He can go out and cover in space.
Yes.
If you want your Ty Anthony Smith, your Jonathan Cunninghams, right? Like he fits in that mold, the mold Blackwells. He's a physical kid. He'll come down the hill and hit you too now. Yeah. So don't get him mistaken. He has that mentally, right? He wants to hit, but he can also cover. And then with Mr. Tyson, look, you're talking about a physical guy who can really set the edge. Like you said, I thought he was an edge too, but he's a big physical linebacker who wants to come down and just smack people. He kind of fits as your will, where maybe Leonard LaFowl fits right now, right? He still has some athletic ability to kind of cover in space, but he'll come down and he'll hit you too and put a hat on you. So I love those two, man. Just two different types of linebackers, right? But they complement each other so well. And you're starting to see the staff, they don't recruit just kind of one guy who fits a mold. They're trying to find versatility in each guy because you play different teams throughout the season who has different matchups, different personnel. You need to be able to match up. And Texas is doing a great job of recruiting kids that fit different personnel packages so they can match up with anybody. And that's what I see out of these two.
And you know what? Now they've got a proof of concept with Pete Kwiatkowski. That first year, there was some doubters. Right. I don't think there's any doubt anymore that PK, who could be an Broyles Award winner very soon, he could bring that thing home this year. I think they have a type. And you said it. They're not recruiting one mold. They're recruiting multiple molds that fit for different schemes and circumstances. And I think you got to give PK and those guys a chance at that. Before we jump in, I want to build it up a little bit. There is going to be a linebacker that I just don't think is going to be in this Texas class that the Horns have been recruiting for a while. But before we get to that, let's pay a few bills. Let our man Texas Homer take it away for a minute.
This video is brought to you by Andre the Lawyer. If you're injured, trust the team that secured millions for their clients and helped thousands of Texans with their injury case. Car wrecks, slip and falls, 18-wheeler accidents, on-the-job injuries, and wrongful deaths. Don't let insurance tell you what your claim is worth. Hire Andre the Lawyer to fight for you. Principal office is in Dallas, but they serve Texans throughout the state. So don't wait and call Andre the Lawyer today at 214-444-8808. That's 214-444-8808. The contact information is in the description.
You know, I'm big fan of LC. I love that guy. I'm a big fan of Andre the Lawyer, but I will never, ever hear the word wrongful death again and not think about the way he says that. It just rolls off the tongue. Yes. I don't know what it is. But call Andre if you need the help. This guy is outstanding. Longtime member at InsideTexas.com. Okay, what linebackers are not going to be in this cycle, Charlie? Do you want to – not likely to be in this cycle? You know, I hate it. I'm a fan of this kid, but I think the Horns are being particular, and they want a certain type. Give me your thoughts. You know, I talked to him a couple of days ago. Right. Carthage 4-star linebacker DeQuivis Beck will not be taking an official visit to Texas. He's got 5 officials already set up for June. Texas A&M, SMU, Oklahoma are a few, but it doesn't look like he's going to be in this class. I think that goes to what you were kind of saying a little bit earlier, that they're not looking for one mold, they're looking for multiple molds. Right. And in this case with Beck, I'm afraid they see a kid that could be a linebacker at the next level, but he kind of plays edge in high school, and he's just now kind of developing into that. You know, what are your thoughts about Beck? And I'll tell you right now, if I was to put in an RPM, it would probably be for Texas A&M. Oklahoma offered him a couple days ago, but man, they should have offered that kid a year ago. They should have had Kip Lewis involved a year ago. So they have a lot of catching up to do. Tell me your thoughts kind of on DeQuivis Beck and the fact that he's probably not going to be in this cycle.
Yeah, I love Beck. Got a chance to see him. Anyway, first let me start out. I love any East Texas kid, right? I think all East Texas kids can play. I just put it out there. But watch him a little bit in the state championship game. I saw an athlete. I think this kid probably can play anywhere he wants to on defense or offense. He's an athlete. And so maybe the curve of being a linebacker may be further away from most guys who played it more than him. Okay. But he's a phenomenal athlete who can learn the position if you just put him there. And I probably think Texas may be looking at a guy who have played the position. He already has some experience with it, where the learning curve won't be as big. But he's a total phenomenal athlete who can play anywhere. You can put him at the middle safety and the 3 high. You can let him play linebacker. You can let him rush the passer off the edge. Like, what can he not do?
Right.
He's a total stud. And so I wish he was taking official to Texas, but man, that's a great kid.
I do too. I'm with you. And I think Carthage is spoiled in a way, because they have a 2026 linebacker named Carson Crawford who's going to go D1. And one of the most instinctual inside backers you're going to find in East Texas today. Yeah. That's allowed them to be more versatile with Beck, and for him to be more of a pass rusher and to be able to use that athleticism to bend the edge and make life hell for the quarterbacks. Right. I'm a giant fan of Beck too, but at this moment, unless something changes, he does not have an official visit set. He's not going to set an official visit, so I don't know if he's actually going to wind up in this class. But it gives you an idea kind of where Texas is going, the direction. Like we said at the beginning of the show, we can tell you who's taking OVs, but I think it's noteworthy who's not. Right. Taking OVs. I think that gives you more of an idea of what the big board might look like. Let's shift to the big boys. Let's go offensive line, because we wrote in the last couple of days. You wrote about it first. I came back with some quotes. Let's talk about Malachi Lee, the big Hawaiian, 6'7.5", 310 pounds. Tape speaks for itself. Size speaks for itself. This kid, I get to catch up with him, and I'm gonna let you start with it. But this is a guy that, Texas has plenty of tackles in state to choose from.
Yes,
but they went to the islands for this guy. Johnny Nansen went to see him, and he's actually been to Austin before. He came to Texas like 3 or 4 years ago for a campus visit for just something random. Got to meet Sark, got to kind of see what Texas was about. They've been in the back of his mind ever since. Johnny Nansen comes to campus in January. He gets the offer. He's talking to Kyle Flood. What is it about Lee that intrigues you? And do the Horns really need to go that far out of state when trying to procure their offensive tackles in this class?
You know, honestly, leave no stone unturned in recruiting. You just never know how the class is going to shape out. And so you don't want to put your eggs in one basket, but man, that's a big human. we've had success going to get kids from the island before. I'll say this, and I continue to steal Eric's quote of, two people from the island, two type of kids. Either they play volleyball or football. This kid's a total football player. If you look at his film, he's just crushed people, burying people. I love him. He's a big kid who can move. He actually can really move for his size. And so big athletic kid, play right or left tackle maybe. But you can never have too many big humans who are physical, who want to punish people, want to move. I said in our group text, he reminds me of big Cam Williams almost, right? He's a run block. He may have to develop as a pass blocker, but when it comes to running, I want to run power. I want to run inside zone right behind him. He's going to give me 4 or 5 yards every time before I'm even touched as a running back. So I can see why Texas is interested. He's a big guy. He's a big, strong, powerful kid who really gets out there and very, very physical. So I can see why Texas is really interested in this kid. And if talking to the other guys who they're recruiting in this class, one thing that stood out is all of them are versatile and open to playing other positions.
Yes.
Which meaning you can kind of put, if you want to play tackle, you fit the tackle mold. Okay.
But you can also move them in rather than move them out.
Move them out. And so that's huge to me, which speaks to the versatility that the staff wants out of kids. You can play all 5 spots, and we may need you.
No, and that's a fact. I like Malachi at right tackle, right guard, right tackle, somewhere along that until he gets his pass blocking down. But an unbelievable, very cool kid to get to talk to. He's friends with Leona LaFau. And he actually saw Leona at the Polynesian Bowl. He got to catch up with him a little bit. Leona obviously talking well about the Horns. Started at linebacker beside Anthony Hill this year. Took David Benda's spot and really flourished. And we're looking for him to take that next step this next year. And so I'm a big fan of Malachi. He told me he is in the moment right now, just setting up a visit to Texas. Not an OV yet. He's going to come in the spring. He wants to come back and watch a practice. Maybe a scrimmage, sit in the meeting rooms, get to know the O-lineman a little bit better. He wants to get that part of it done before he sets up any officials. And a decision's probably going to be towards the end of the summer, or if not into his senior year. And so you said it. You can't leave any stone unturned. There's another guy that just popped up on the radar a couple days ago, Jared Smith. He's out of Brunswick, Georgia. He popped up at I believe it was the Under Armour Next event in Atlanta, which, by the way, if you're a big fan of Texas and Inside Texas, we will be in Melissa, Texas on Sunday, February 16th, to cover the Under Armour Next event from Melissa High School. Some of the most amazing facilities you're going to see in the country, not just the state of Texas. So we're going to be there for coverage, and be sure and tune into our YouTube channel and InsideTexas.com for the latest. But Jared Smith kind of popped up lately, and the offers just snowballed. I believe Auburn came back in with one yesterday, but at this stage, I feel like Auburn's offering. Auburn reminds me of Alabama 10 years ago. That's a blanket offer. Yeah. They go into a school, they're not offering 2 kids, they're offering 14 kids, just to get in that conversation. But I watched just a little bit of the tape earlier today before we posted the story on Jared Smith. That's another really big, strong kid. Now, he's 6'4.5", about 320, 325, but he was literally moving people. And it just goes to show those big boys in Georgia, they are just stout. There's a reason the Horns have planted a flag in that state. The last couple cycles going in there and recruiting a lot of those kids hard, taking Zealous Hicks and Justice Terry in 2026, Amari Winston as well. But essentially, those big boys down there are big. Have you had a chance to check out Jared Smith yet? Have you been able to watch any of his tape?
I have. I saw a little bit, maybe a little bit bigger Justin Blaylock, what it reminds me of. Out of Plano East. He's a big kid, man, who can move, kind of light on his feet. You look at him, he got the big broad shoulders, big chest already. Like,
big chest,
kid, right? Chest. I don't know what they're feeding him down in Georgia, but these guys are built a little different in the Southeast. But yeah, he's a big kid who can move. I can see him playing, interior, but he has that SEC look already as a high school kid, right? You can just imagine how he's going to develop and grow. And so, another big human who can really get out there in the trenches.
Yeah, that's kind of what stood out to me as well. I think he's probably a guard, but I think he's a versatile guy. I think he's a swing guy. I think he could be a guy that could play either spot. And when you say only 6'4.5", that's just how Flood. That's how he judges those guys. That's kind of how they grow them. They like those big boys. And I think we saw that in the Super Bowl. I think there's going to be more of an emphasis in professional football in the next couple of years of building from the inside out. Mm-hmm. That used to be the plan. Yeah. And then it kind of got to a little bit different, opened up offense. And then it got a little bit more different with defense, zone, blitzing with the defense. So things kind of changed. The Philadelphia Eagles put out the template. We got the biggest boys on both sides of the line. That was the biggest offensive line average per average in Super Bowl history, and then essentially drafting all these Georgia Bulldogs for the last 2 or 3 cycles. And I mean, they had like 6 of those guys starting on the other side of the ball. So that was also a very good thing there as well. We got a question real quick here. Our boy Williams David, I will never call him Mr. David Williams. He will always be Williams David to me, and he will always have a big red in my heart. If you both had to provide a likely 2026 wide receiver class for Texas, what would it be? I'm going to let you go first, Charles.
All right.
Okay. Yeah. I kind of know the board, so I want your expertise, because you know this a lot better than I do. Tell me what let's say 4 is the number.
Okay.
And just for argument's sake, we're going to keep Chris Stewart in the class right now.
Okay.
I don't want to go down that road.
Right.
He's in the class right now. So give me 3 that would be the ideal hauls for our man, Mr. David Williams.
So ideal. I'm gonna start, since it's the Stewart's in the class. I'm gonna go to modern day and grab Chris Henry Jr. I'm sorry. That would be my one.
The best football player in the country?
Yeah, look,
call.
Anybody plays NCAA 25, send the house. Go get him, right? That's exactly. Spend all 55 points on him. But then you got 2 kids in the state of Texas. One who just reclassified to 2026 class.
Not till Friday.
Not till Friday.
Not till Friday.
I'm a little early, but
just hypothetically.
Hypothetically, right?
Hypothetically, Ethan Feaster, yeah.
Yeah, Ethan Feaster out of DeSoto, and then Mr. Caden Finney out of Alito, a legacy. That would be my 3. You talking about all big receivers, physical receivers who are special after the catch. And so, man, who already has route running down, which is really, really, you don't see it much from a lot of freshmen incoming. They have to learn. These guys actually know they can get open from the line. They know when to sit down in zone. They have it. They train hard, get extra work in. Like, these guys will step on campus ready to play. And so that would be my 4.
You're there. I like David Williams. He changed it up a little bit. He threw Caden Dixon Wyatt in there. Texas likes KDW. They like him. They've been recruiting him for well over a year. Chris Jackson was a wide receiver at Mater Dei. So there's a connection there. I don't think Texas is going to push. I actually think that's going to wind up being Oregon, USC, something along that kind of line. It kind of reminds me of Marcus Harris last year. Mm-hmm. Got a lot of hype as a junior, but once the senior stuff came out, more and more schools were kind of pulling away, and then he wound up going to Oklahoma. That was one of the last places I think he could go. And I get that feeling there with KDW. He's not set up an official visit yet. That hasn't been discussed yet. But you said it. Hypothetically, Booby Feaster could be in that 2026 class. And if he is, that becomes the number 1 guy on the big board. Caden Finley's got to be in this class for a number of reasons. 1, he's a more athletic Jaden Greathouse. 2, he's a Texas legacy from Mr. Jermichael Finley. And 3, he's got little brothers that are probably as athletic, if not more. You want to keep it in the house. You want to keep it in home with Caden Finley. But I'm going to add one guy, because I think Chris Henry would just be such a struggle to flip. Like, he's committed to Ohio State. He grew up in Ohio. They just won the Natty. They're losing every receiver except the main one in Jeremiah Smith. And so that one's going to be a tough flip. And Oregon's already got their boots in there. If there is going to be a flip, Oregon's probably the leader past the Buckeyes right now. I'm going to go with Aaron Gregory. That's a wide receiver out of Douglas County, outside of Atlanta. He's committed to Texas A&M, committed to A&M after a game back in October. I was in Georgia probably 2 weeks after that, hitting schools, and I was told that the fact that Aaron Gregory, there's probably no chance that he's going to wind up signing with Texas A&M. Texas loves him. That they're trying to get him in for an official visit, get him back on campus. He's been there once already, and so I'm going to go with those 3. I'll let you have Chris Henry, because my hopes are your hopes. Dreams are my dreams. And Chris Henry is the man. Let's finish up just a little bit more. We gotta. Let's give him a little bit of an update here. Jordan Clay and Caden Finley update. We just talked about Finley. Texas. They only have 2 wide receivers taking official visits right now. That's Caden Finley and Jabari Mack. Right. If you want to know who's at the top of the big board, Caden Finley and Jabari Mack. Right. Finley's right there. Notre Dame. You got to watch them. Yes. Notre Dame is selling the whole great house theory, and for good reason. And I'm told there's certain members of the family that wouldn't mind if he left the state and went that direction. I don't think it's Jermichael's side. I can say that much. But Texas has an official visit set. We broke that the other day, and then we wrote I asked him about a Notre Dame OV. He hasn't set that one up yet, but I do expect that to happen. Jordan Clay, Jordan Clay is a kid that he is a really good high school football player. And I think it projects at the next level too. I feel like he's one of those kids that Texas may not get, cycle to cycle, and then he goes somewhere like TCU or Utah or Texas Tech or SMU and then thrives.
Right.
I can easily see the San Antonio native doing that. I really like Jordan Clay. I just don't know. I just don't think there's going to be room. I think they're going to take 4, and I don't think he's at the top of that list of who they would go through. So, but I'm a big fan of Clay, big fan of Finley. I'm gonna let you tackle this last one before we get out of here from David Keith Williams about Trevor Gooseby.
Yeah,
being 6'7", looks great at left tackle. He looks athletic, physical, and smooth coming out of his stance as any player that is 6'4". All right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you finish this one up, and I will say this: there's a reason he's so athletic and smooth. It's because he has been raised in a basketball type home. Those boys, Michael Gooseby has done an amazing job raising boys. I'm trying to get advice from him on how to raise a son properly, because all 3 of those boys are big, strong, great human beings and great athletes. His little brother, Austin Gooseby, big-time point guard in 2026. Texas is on him, Kansas, a lot of big schools. Trevor Gooseby did a freaking dunk at 6'7", about 300, 305, something like that. Like it was nothing during his recruitment, and you could just see the basketball traits translating on the football field. Tell me your biggest keys with the new left tackle in Austin.
Yeah, look, I've been knowing Trevor since maybe his sophomore year. Just in the training circuit here in the DFW area, big kid who continued to grow and grow and grow. And like you said, I put him on the basketball court. Like, oh my God, this kid is amazing. He's going to be a future left tackle, right? And lo and behold, people was worried about his weight. I wouldn't worry about it. He gets in the strength and conditioning program at any college, he was going to put on the weight. Yeah. So, like you said, the reason he can move so well, he's a basketball player. And I won't say farmer because he can still hoop.
He did.
He'll tell you that too.
Can you imagine the pickup games at the Gooseby house?
Exactly. And so I saw him last summer before they got ready to report back. And I was like, man, that's Trevor. Wait a minute, that's not the same kid with the little curly hat. Oh, that is Trevor. After looking, I was like, oh my gosh, he looks the part, man. You can see it. You can see it on his face. He's grown up and he's caught up to his body, so to speak. A lot of kids, they grow fast and they kind of look, clumsy, but he grew into his body. And he's going to continue to grow and get even bigger. But it's not going to be out of shape or anything like that. He's going to be one of those big guys who just 6'7", 350, but don't look like it, right? He's going to be physical specimen. But he's an athlete at left tackle. And so those are guys that get paid the big bucks because they can move. The Trent Williams of the world, right? And so
there you go.
Mr.
I love the Trent Williams. Yeah. Every time you mention Trent Williams, I'm into it. You know why? There's 2 reasons I love Trent Williams. You know one of them.
903.
903. That's a Longview, Texas boy. That's East Texas. You know what the other one was? Richard Sherman went one season running his mouth to everybody, and he wouldn't shut up until Trent Williams got involved.
Sure.
Once Trent Williams put his teeth at that back of his throat, he was done talking. And I thought, and I think Trent was only in like his second year when he did that. But that little scene there with Richard Sherman, if you have a chance, you need to check that out. I'm going to got a couple little ones I'm just going to hit on really quick before we get out of here. We're very grateful for you guys listening and watching the show and supporting Inside Texas YouTube channel. Please like and subscribe to the Inside Texas YouTube channel. What about the DL from Bastrop, defensive lineman? That's Tiki Hala. Mm-hmm. That's one that Texas is still involved in. They're still talking to him. He actually connects with Baker. They've been connecting, it feels like, for almost a year now. There's some good momentum there, but Notre Dame is pushing, and I think Texas is going to be a lot more particular in this 2026 class. They're going to have to bring in 3, probably 4 defensive linemen again. And Hall is a guy I really like, but I don't know if that's your ceiling, or if that's your floor, or if that's your ceiling. I feel like that might be your floor. Right. And so it's going to be interesting. I'm expecting, if he's going to take an OV to Texas, I think that thing's going to be announced in the next month or so. I think we'll know. But please understand, these OVs, there's a lot of things can change. They're scheduling a lot ahead of time, but that's just because Texas is very proactive in kind of how they do stuff. Right. And then Antoine had an update. He wanted an update on Pollard, DeQuivius Beck, and Tank King. Hey, brother, we just talked about DeQuivius Beck and Tank King at the beginning of the show. If you want to go back back and watch. It won't take you a few minutes. I promise it's worth it.
Yeah.
Kosi Okpala, I think Texas and Okpala are still in a good spot. I don't have a lot of intel on that one. Do you have anything you can add on Kosi before we get out of here?
Yeah, like I said, we saw him at Junior Day. He was there in town, and just trying to follow up with him prior, after the Junior Day visit, just to kind of see where he's at and where he's at communication with Texas staff. But we'll probably have more on him. He hits back and kind of lets us know.
There you go. There you go. Hey, once again, thank you so much for making us a part of your day and joining us. Come see us at InsideTexas.com. If you like this 30 minutes, you'll love what we're doing on the message board with our community, with the amazing members. It really is a good time. It's the best time to sign up at InsideTexas.com. It really is. Come see us. Come hang out. Charlie, it's always a pleasure. I'm sure I'll talk to you either later today again or tomorrow. Yeah. I'll get to see you. I'll get a big hug on Sunday. We're going to kill that recruiting because there's going to be a ton of Texas targets at Melissa High School. Be sure to tune into Inside Texas for that as well. And thank you for joining us on the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel, powered by InsideTexas.com.